Hello, welcome to my second video titled What is Money? Part 1. This is going to be a series, so there's going to be multiple parts. If you have not already, please check out my first video that I posted recently. It is What is CASPA? And that is going to be the main theme of this entire channel. So, money, as I view it, it's a thermodynamic ledger. Now, what do I mean by thermodynamic and what do I mean by ledger? Well, thermodynamic speaking, money is energy. And I hold this viewpoint because whatever you use money for or get money, energy is required conceptually. So, for instance, let's say you have money and you buy a house. Well, you get a house because that's where you sleep, that's where you eat food, that's where you consume entertainment, a lot of other things. You also use money to buy food and water. Well, food has calories, and that gives you energy for your day. Money also allows you to buy something like a car. A car takes you from point A to point B, and it keeps it efficient. It saves you time. And then also, with your job, you get your money via a paycheck because you exerted energy with whatever you're doing, a massage therapist, a personal trainer, a hairstylist, a professor, a car mechanic, and you get that back via a paycheck. So money to me is energy. Now, before we go even deeper into that, let's look at energy's framework first. Energy is bound by three things: time, space, and matter. You cannot have those three things simultaneously. They all exist together. If you don't have time, when are you going to have space and matter? If you don't have space, where are you going to put time and matter? And then if you don't have matter, what are you measuring? Because you have time and space. So they all have to exist together. And then interestingly enough, each of those three things also have a trinity. Time has a past, present, future. Space has a length, width, and height. And matter has a solid, liquid, and gas. So that is energy's framework. But since money is energy, money also has a framework. So money is a store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. Store of value is just holding the value over time. Medium of exchange is moving it across space, and unit of account is being able to specify that amount. So a good store of value has durability, security, and scarcity. A good money that has a medium of exchange, it's fast, it's mutual, and it's accessible. And then a good money also has a unit of account because it's addable, divisible, and liquid. So now, combining those charts with the framework, money equaling energy, look at this below. A store of value is just the ability to save value over time because it has a durable past, a secure present, and a scarce future. It answers the questions when and why. A medium of exchange is the ability to spend across space because it has a fast length, a mutual width, and an accessible height. It answers the questions who and where. And then finally, you have a unit of account. That's the ability to specify within matter because it's divisible as gas, addable as a solid, and interchangeable as a liquid. And this answers the questions what and how. So there's also two types of energy and the perception of it. So we have kinetic energy and potential energy. Kinetic energy is just energy in motion. Okay, let's say you have an electric stove. That electricity is going from whoever is hosting the electricity in your town through the wires to your house, to your stove, converting it into a flame, and then that flame is heating the water and that's boiling, and then that gets converted into steam. That is kinetic energy. It's in motion. Versus potential energy, like a battery, it's just stored energy. You can use that whenever, wherever, and however, but it's not being used at that moment. It's just capable of having energy being used. And then those are all perceived through our senses. Okay, we have five senses. So think of it as looking at the bright lights of a sun, or you can feel the basketball whenever you dribble it, or the sound a loud bomb makes when it goes off. All three of those things are energy based. So if energy has forms and a perception to it, well, money is the same thing. You have active money and potential money. Active money is money in circulation. Okay, you have a $5 bill, you hand it to the person behind the bar, they give you a drink, and then they take that $5 bill and they put it in their cash register, and then you have your drink. That was circulating, that was active. Versus potential money, think of it as money being stored, like in a bank. It's not being used, it's just sitting there, but it can be used. And then also, we perceive money just how we perceive energy. We can look at the price of a sale ticket. We can shake the hand to close a deal. And then we can also pitch with sound in our voice. So now we got to get into the laws of thermodynamics, because energy is bound by the 4 laws of thermodynamics, and then money is also bound by similar ones, but they're economic. So the 0th law is if 2 systems are each in thermal equilibrium with a 3rd system, then they are in equilibrium with each other. So just think about it as you have a thermometer and you put it in a hot cup of tea, and the thermometer changes to a certain temperature. That means the temperature gauge, the thermometer, and the hot cup of coffee or tea, whatever it may be, they are equal to each other. This is similar to market equilibrium, the temperature, supply and demand. Okay, supply and demand, they both act in balance with each other. If you have very low supply and very high demand, the price, aka the temperature, okay, the price goes up if there's not a lot of it, but there's demand for it. And then the opposite occurs if there's lots of supply and very low demand, the temperature, the price cools down. Then you have the first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Okay, that same example from the electricity with the electric stovetop, with the flame, with the water boiling, with the steam. That is just energy being converted. Okay, it's not being created, it's just conversion. That is same with economic principles, such as the conservation of value rule, or the conversion rule, as I like to call it. So whenever you work, you exerted your energy, and then you get that back in the form of a paycheck. And then you take that paycheck and then you go to the grocery store and you use that paycheck to buy your groceries. Then you use those groceries to feed yourself. Then you used that food to give you energy, and now you're going to go play basketball or go lift weights. And then this cycle continues. Energy was not created nor destroyed, it was just converted. Then you have the second law of thermodynamics. And this states the total entropy of an isolated system always increases over time. So think about it as an ice cube. It melts. It's going to melt. Okay. The heat always goes to something that's cool. But then if you want to refreeze the ice cube, you have to use energy. And this is the same thing for the economy, economic entropy, or the irreversibility rule. Let's say a company is a startup and it has $1 million, and then it completely fails. In order to start that company back up, you have to, let's say, have another $1 million. You have to take that $1 million and get it from somewhere. And that in and of itself is energy. Because remember, the first law says energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only converted. So you have to have a new group of investors or new fresh capital or some way to get that energy back, to get that startup going again. Just like freezing back the ice cubes. The freezer, to freeze the water that just melted, uses electricity. So again, that is bound by the second law of thermodynamics. And then the final law, the third law of thermodynamics, as the temperature of a system approaches absolute zero, the entropy of the system approaches a minimum value, and the system becomes perfectly ordered, or as close to being perfectly ordered. So take cryogenics, for example. People trying to outdo Father Time, they pass away and then their brain or their body is conserved and it's put in a freezer. And it slows their bodily tissue down, but that's as best as it can be done. You can slow it down, but you can't stop it or kill it off. This is the same thing as economic efficiency. We can have a very efficient economy with very efficient products and very efficient monies, but we cannot be perfect, just like an athlete, for instance, like Roger Federer. There's big improvements to be made early on whenever you're in intermediate, junior high, you're in high school, you're in college, and then you become a pro. But then as you become a pro, your skill development, your athleticism, there is a fine line on how much you can improve. And there's going to be a certain amount of leakage. You can reduce the leakage, but there's always going to be some sort of friction within the economy. And then finally, one of my favorite things about money equaling energy is they both have a common tendency. It's my favorite. I love it. Nature takes the path of least resistance. Energy takes the path of least resistance always. Always. Okay? You have water. It always flows downhill. You've never seen water flow uphill without inertia, without another force forcing it to. It's always going to want to flow downhill. Water always takes the path of least resistance. Same thing with money. Money takes the path of least resistance. It goes where it's treated best. Investors are going to park their value where they believe it's going to be treated best. It's always trying to preserve itself. Always. Just like energy. Therefore, money equaling energy means it is thermodynamic. But remember the second part, it is a ledger. So why is it a thermodynamic ledger? Well, remember in my earlier video, and there's going to be 3 slides kind of, recapturing what I was talking about in the previous video about what is a ledger. A ledger is an organized record-keeping system that tracks and stores information based on events over time. Essentially, it's a memory made permanent from your brain to, let's say, a notebook. Now, a ledger has 2 main purposes. Primarily, it tracks ownership. It secondarily tracks occurrence. Ownership is what's owed. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Was it owed? Is it owed? And will it be owed to? Versus occurrence, it is who, what, where, when, why, and how did, is, and will it occur to. Now, the early use of a ledger was found in Mesopotamia around 3000 BC, and they had clay tablets writing down who owed what to who, and in how much, and what it was denominated in, and when it was owed, answering all those 6 basic questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how is it owed. That was the earliest use of a ledger. Now, this is going to be towards the end of our video here, so you really got to hone in here. We have 2 types of monetary ledgers. We have an order instrument and a bear instrument. They are both ledgers, but complete opposites. So let's take the order instrument, for example. You have a bank or a clay tablet from Mesopotamia. It's literally a ledger. Something is being written down. It is a record-keeping system of what is being owed, who to, and how much, and in what amounts. So that is the literal ledger part. You can see it. It's a number on a screen. It is written down on the clay tablet. But conceptually, it's ownership. Okay? The person back then in Mesopotamia, there was the literal ledger, but conceptually, you had to remember what was being owed whenever you didn't have the ledger with you. Same thing with the bank. Whenever you look at the bank account on your smartphone or on your laptop and you see that you have a certain amount of value on your screen, amount of money, conceptually, you are owed that. Compare that to a bearer instrument. So let's say you have a $100 bill. You literally are owning that. You literally can hold it in your hand, right? But then also think outside the box here. That's also a ledger. Conceptually, your hand is acting as the ledger because remember, a ledger is just proving primarily its main use case is ownership. Well, your hand is the ledger. Your hand is proving that you own the $100 bill or you own the cattle. So, literally, you are owning it. Conceptually, it is a ledger. So, no matter what type of ledger, whether it's an order instrument or a bearer instrument, it is a ledger, no matter what. So, money is a ledger in and of itself. It has to be. Therefore, money equaling a record-keeping system means it is a ledger. Concluding, when I started with this video, money is a thermodynamic ledger. So that is it for this video. Thank you for staying around if you have done so. My next video is going to be explaining most likely the history of money, going through the past, maybe dabbling in with the present form of money. I'll have to see how large that video is going to be. Thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and send your comments away. What did you like? What did you not like? What can I improve on? What's a question that you have that I can answer for you? And if you like this comment, go ahead and subscribe, like, and share with your friends and loved ones. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your day. Bye.